Right, cool.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching us from. This is the KMTV exclusive Fargo show, and my name is Paul Allen. We are live from our Fargo studio in North Dakota. So wherever you're watching us, or if you've just joined us, I'd like to say welcome to this exclusive, fascinating, and entertaining discussion we're going to be having today. Today is our 10th episode, 10th edition of the Fargo exclusive Cops show. And again, my name is Paul Allen. Today is going to be very interesting. It promises to be very, very interesting. I'm going to be having a very, very interesting studio guest on the show today, and you don't want to miss it today. It's going to be good. We had our first episode, our second episode. Today is the 10th edition of the show. I'll be talking to someone special. That's the state representative of North Dakota District number 10. I'm going to be having a lengthy discussion with him. He just got elected into office, and it's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. We're going to have a lot of fun. So you have the opportunity to be part of the show. You can call us. The numbers to call is going to be posted on the screen. You can send your comments to our live feed, and we will definitely read it out. Ask the representative whatever question you want to ask him, but please, let's be refined. And this is live TV. Again, this is KMTV. We're about to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we jump into our exclusive interview with our studio guest.
Pepe can go, le pape said no one to do it, do. Clip can rock you, lepe when you coming true. Y'all can see all the good God I do for me, oh. Papa, your blessing to plant in me, and I get cut out to oh. You open door, you made a way, made my enemy call it fair. They wanna wallow down me, like listen people not saying. Congratulations. Me only used to tell I mean they telling me okay. Congratulations. They opening corridor for me to pass, but they said the full say congratulations. See how you turning around for good from the way to farewell. Congratulations. The grace I carried and on your mate, the chiche and do well. Congratulations.
All right, welcome back to the Fargo exclusive Cop show. If you just join us again, I'd like to say welcome to this section. This is a fascinating, entertaining edition we're going to be having here on the show. And again, my name is Paul Allen. And I told you previously before we went for our breakdown, we're going to be having a very special studio guest. That's the representative of District number 10, North Dakota. That's Jared Hendrick. I hope I pronounced his name well. Did I?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Well, welcome to KMTV.
Yeah.
It's good to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Yeah, finally.
Thank you.
We're on the show.
Yeah.
How's everything? I mean, how's life? How's the family? Let's have a little discussion.
Yeah, it's good. You know, we're getting through up here in North Dakota. As you know, you get through an easy winter. It's plenty to be grateful for. So, yeah, very, very nice winter. Can't complain too much. Working long hours at the legislature, and then I drive back. So I drive 6 hours every week. And,
wow.
You know, it's a big state, so there's a lot of people that drive even farther than that. As people that work up in live up in Williston, and they drive, 4 or 5 hours. So can't complain.
Yeah. Well, thank you for honoring our invitation to appear on the show. I mean, it's indeed an honor to have you. You're a busy man, so to get you, I mean, thank you for honoring our invitation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So, I mean, how's your day been going so far since this morning? What have you been involved with?
Yeah, well, it's Saturday, so we get to sleep in a little bit, and then, we kind of live our normal lives at home on the weekends. We're in Bismarck at the Capitol from Monday through Friday. Okay. And then I come home Friday night, and then Saturday is kind of take care of stuff around the house and try to get caught up with life, all the normal things. And then Sunday, you got church, and then more family time and then sometimes you gotta also get prepared if you have a bill hearing on Monday morning, or you got bills you need to speak on either in committee or on the floor Monday. Then you're getting prepared, and then I drive back to Bismarck Sunday nights. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's a short weekend.
That seemed like a lot in a short period of time to get all these things prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it different from where you grew up, where you were born into North Dakota? Because I understand you grew up in
Yeah.
Virginia, right?
Yeah, state of Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a very different culture. In Virginia, of course, it's more in the South. It's warmer. There's a lot longer history there. You have historical sites there that go back to the beginning of America, 1600s, 1700s, whereas in North Dakota, it's more recent. It was settled, much more recently. Other than the native peoples that were here, it was settled in the 1800s mostly.
Okay.
And so it's a different environment. You got harsh winters. You have different kind of people. A lot of Germans, Norwegian people, Swedish people. It's a very different culture, but good people, good work ethic, very conservative culture, very faith-based culture.
Okay.
And I fell in love with the place when I came here 10 years ago, and I just decided to move up here and take opportunity. There's jobs everywhere. That's the one good thing.
Definitely.
The oil boom took off a few years ago. That's huge. Here in Fargo, there's like a tech industry that's going. And of course, the biggest part of the state is agriculture.
Yeah, you can say that again. Yeah. You're talking about oil industry, and you worked in the oil industry, you worked in the construction field, you also worked as a consultant before moving into politics. So with all this work history and a little bit of politics, why did you choose to get into politics?
Well, I think maybe politics chose me.
All right. How so?
It's sort of it's a God thing, I think. Because in my life I didn't really have any real ambition to do it. I just started to get myself educated in the issues. I started to care, and once I realized how much I cared and I understood what was at stake to try to put good policy in place, then I felt an obligation to get involved. And I just got involved volunteering, and eventually I worked hard enough, got noticed, and I was able to actually work on campaigns and even earn a living doing it a little bit, and that's where I've done the consulting work. But I spent 2 years in the oil fields of North Dakota, worked in retail, warehousing, just kind of a bunch of odd jobs. I don't have a political science degree. It's a great thing in America that you can, without a college degree, you can still get somewhere.
Yeah, I think it brings me back to what you say. I think politics choose you.
Yeah. Seems that way.
Yeah. I mean, you just got elected. The election was held in November, and you guys got into office January, right?
Yeah, we're sworn in December, and
January.
We start in January.
So it's pretty much like 90 to 100 days in the office, so a short period of time. I mean, what have you been working on? I mean, what's the main thing that you guys have been pushing? Because it's just like almost like 100 days as a representative. What have you been working on?
Yeah, so we start with we get a lot of bills that we have to deal with every session. It can be 800, 900, almost 1,000 bills. It depends, and everything from healthcare to transportation to funding our roads to our schools to how we deal with criminal statutes to all these different things. That's what we deal with everything. We write the laws. And when I came in, I had a few priorities I wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on healthcare price transparency. I put in a bill on that. I wanted to focus on protecting the integrity of our ballot measure process, because that's the ability we have to take issues directly to the ballot that the people can vote on. And many other things. Property tax reform is a big deal because people are upset that property taxes are kind of going crazy in North Dakota.
Of course.
And then another big thing for me in this district is my district's very unique in North Dakota. Most of North Dakota is farmland, it's rural. And Fargo's the biggest city, and it's really a small city by other standards. But in District 10, we have 80% people rent. So it's a lot of apartments, and that's unique in North Dakota. So when I was campaigning, I heard a lot of people that had issues renting and bad situations that they dealt with sometimes with landlords, with others. And so I put in a few different bills to help try to protect people's rights in the rental process, and that was important to me.
I mean, that is important. That's a good one, because like I've been in North Dakota for 3 years, and I've had a couple of friends, people, when it comes to renting, that's an issue. Like if you leave an apartment after 5, 6, 7 years, your security deposit, you're not going to get it back. And you're going to get another bill on top of that. It's not possible for me to live in a house after 10 years and you expect the carpet that you left there to be the same. So this is something that I think what you're pushing is good, and you guys really need to push on that. I think that's something that people love to see.
Yeah, and the challenge that I've had with those bills is just getting my colleagues in the legislature to agree, which is the
Are you guys majority in the House, the Republican?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a super Republican majority. So, you know, I got actually a little bit more support on some of it than I thought I would, which is good, but most of the people in that chamber don't rent, they own, which is great. So, that's the American dream. But I think they're removed from the experience that a lot of people have. And so some of those reforms that I'm working on, it might take me till the next session to persuade enough people to understand it.
Do you think that's because you pretty new into the House or something?
It can be. I mean, you know, you got to build relationships with people, and that takes time. That definitely helps. But a lot of it's just being able to persuade enough people and taking the time to reach people. There's a lot of issues that somebody might put a bill in and maybe it only gets 10 or 15 votes, and then they bring it back the next session and it passes, because you start to introduce the ideas and you get the discussion going. And it can be frustrating because it works slow, but that's also the beauty of the American system, because it's frustrating when it goes slow, but it's good in the sense that our system has checks and balances, and we don't really want it to go too fast, because sometimes if you have a bad policy, you don't want it to go too fast, right? So you have to have the system and the ideas work themselves through the system, and I think that works pretty well for the most part. So I don't get too discouraged if I put something in and it doesn't pass, because I think I can just keep working harder at it and bring it back and persuade people, and that happens all the time.
I mean, have you had an incident where some of your colleagues from your party decided not to vote on the bill that you passed? Have you had incidents?
Oh yeah, yeah, that happens a lot.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought because you guys are, I'm a Republican, so when he brings it up, I thought it happens like that.
No, the thing is, the Republican Party is so big in North Dakota. I mean, we have basically about 85% of the state legislature, approximately, and that means that there's a lot of diversity of thought within that party. You know, you have people that are very, you know, liberal, people that are very conservative, people kind of in between, and that means that your battle is really within the party. Like the Democrat Party, I don't mean any offense to my Democrat colleagues, but sometimes on a lot of votes they're not relevant just because they don't have the numbers. Now, I think that's a bad way of looking at it, because, and I've had Democrat co-sponsors on some of my bills, and I've worked with a couple of Democrats on some good bills too. I'll work with anybody. I think that's important. But we have a super Republican majority, so all the power is within the Republican Party, and that means the burden's on us. Like, we've got to lead, and you know, I think we do good in some ways, and we can do a lot better in other ways.
Online just yet. Oh, we're going to post the number up. Yeah, we will post the numbers to call. I think probably one of some strange call. Yeah, something else that I wanted to talk about. When you decided to run for office, what was that message that you took out there to the people saying, okay, I want to run as a state representative? What was that message that you preached or that you gave them that made them say, okay, I think we can give him a chance? What was that message?
I think it was a few things. Number one, and this is how I've always been since I got involved in politics, is I think that sometimes what you might call the establishment, you know, the leadership of the political parties gets stagnant. They get closed-minded to new ideas and new way of thinking. They are mainly focused on preserving their position of power and influence and the people around them, rather than the way our system of government is supposed to work, which is having everybody be represented, having new people come in and new ideas. And so I wanted to be a voice for for everybody. I wanted to be a voice for the common people, not just kind of the status quo. And in North Dakota, you hear this phrase, good old boy network, you know, and that's where you get people that are entrenched and their friends. And that's a real problem. And that's one of the reasons I led the term limits measure in North Dakota.
Okay.
So for people that don't understand, in a lot of states, including in North Dakota, before we got this passed, you could go and you could be in the legislature for 40 years. And I think that's too long. I think that's too long for one person to be in a position like that. I mean, yes, there's value to the experience and what you can learn in that period of time, but there's a lot more value in having somebody go there for maybe a shorter period of time, maybe it's 8 years, 16 years, and then they go home, and then they mentor somebody new to come in, and then they come in and their voice is heard. So I made that a big part of my campaign. Is I wanted new ideas, new people. I wanted to make sure that I'm staying close to my voters and listening to what people's concerns are, and not going to the state capitol and listening to all the bureaucrats that run the agencies, all the lobbyists that are paid to bother you every day on your votes. And they're not all bad people, but it's a machine. There's a big machine in the Capitol, and sometimes they get into an echo chamber and they forget the people. It's not intentional, but it happens. And so that was a big part of my message.
Were you in any time rejected by people when you went to preach your campaign message? Like, oh, I'm knocking at your door, I'm Jared, I'm running for state representative. Oh, no. Were you sometimes, rejected by people?
Yeah, a few times, but it's pretty rare. Most people are very nice, you know. You do have to have the confidence to go knock on somebody's door and talk to them. You gotta handle rejection, because you knock on 100 doors, you might get 5 people that don't want to talk to you. Maybe one is rude or mean, and you just gotta smile and say, well, thank you for your time, and go to the next door, because there's gonna be, for that one person, there's gonna be 20 people that'll talk to you, and you can have a good interaction. So it happens, but most people are very friendly, and sometimes it's just a partisan thing, like, oh, you're a Republican, I don't want to talk to you. But that actually worked pretty good in this district, because the Democrat candidate for president, Kamala Harris, won my district. But I still won as a Republican. I got more votes than Trump in this district.
Oh, wow, that's a good one, especially your first time. That's a good one.
So we worked hard, and I think I actually had a lot of Democrats that were supporting our campaign, because I would go talk to people and I would listen sincerely. Listening is more important than talking.
You listen, you learn. All right. Well, we are still in a conversation with our state representative of District Number 10, North Dakota, Jared Henrik, and you will be opening the phone lines. We're going to post the numbers up so you can call, give your comments. If you have questions, you can ask your question or post your question or thoughts to our live feed. We're about to take a short break. When we come back, we jump into our discussion with our representative. We'll be right back.
Monthly bills have skyrocketed. Housing, groceries, insurance, everything is up. Inflation is stretching us to the breaking point. It's easy to ask, who's looking out for us? It's easy to watch the news and convince ourselves there's more that divides us than unites us. But we all need strong families, safe communities, good schools, and the opportunity to work hard and reach the American dream. It's campaign season. Candidates tell us they're going to be different, but we need someone to tell us how we can be different. As an engaged citizen, I've
Pepe can change go. Le pape said no one to do it, do. Clipper can rock you. Lepe when you coming true. Y'all can see. All the good God do for me, oh. Pape, your
monthly. It's easy to ask, who's looking out for us? It's easy to watch the news and convince ourselves there's more that divides us than unites us. But we all need strong families, safe communities, good schools, and the opportunity to work hard and reach the American dream. It's campaign season, candidates tell us they're going to be different, but we need someone to tell us how we can be different. As an engaged citizen, I've activated thousands with training on the political process, empowering everyday people. My name is Jared Hendricks. My working class background includes oil field, construction, and warehousing. I'm the proud son of a naval veteran turned police officer and loving homemaker. I'm engaged to my beautiful Anna, an ICU nurse and Jamaican immigrant. I led the effort to gather over 88,000 citizen signatures to allow voters to approve term limits for the governor and legislature, and mandatory retirement for members of Congress. But there's more work to be done. That's why I'm running for State House in Fargo. The political establishment tells us all the things we cannot do, instead of inspiring us to do everything we can do. We need optimism and, most of all, courage. Not the same politicians telling us what we want to hear, but leaders who will tell us what we need to hear. I'm not just asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to be an engaged citizen. Let's get it done together.
All right, welcome back to the Fargo exclusive Cap Show. If you just joined us again, I'd like to say welcome to our live studio in North Dakota. And we are still in conversation with our state representative, still having a conversation with him. Yep, something I wanted to talk about. You're not just a representative for just the Republican or Democrat, you're a representative for District 10. That includes everybody. I mean, what are some of the things you have to deal with since you got in power? Have you dealt with any issue, especially when it comes to, most often you associate with the Black communities too, the African Americans? I mean, what are some of the issues you've dealt with when it comes to a situation like this?
Yeah, so it is a very diverse district. You know, most of North Dakota is, frankly, I think 85% white, European, and this district is very unique. You know, there's a lot of immigrants, a lot of African immigrants. You know, both East and West Africans, Liberians, Somali, many other groups. There's a lot of Filipinos, Hispanics. It's a very diverse district, and you know, I just approached it the way I approach everybody. I sit down and I listen and I show respect to everybody, no matter where they're from, and I want to make sure that they know that I'm here to represent them. You know, one thing that's been interesting is, even though in the state legislature, I don't deal with any immigration issues, that's all federal, but I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I've tried to at least help them by connecting them to the right person who can hopefully help them with immigration issues, even though it's not really our job in the state legislature. So I've tried to be available to at least help steer people the right way. But I think what I've noticed in a lot of the new American community is, I think people just want to feel heard. They want to feel like, you know, here's somebody who's genuinely going to come and be showing up.
Okay. Yeah, so during your campaign period, I mean, I think a tournament, you had a tournament hosted. Yeah, let's talk about that. How was it? I mean, how did that all come about, that tournament?
Yeah,
Some of the people you worked with, how did it go? Did that help you in your campaign process or what?
Yeah. You know, my friend Jackson, who you know,
Jackson
was a good help. Pastor Miller, Jackson and Miller, two people I work with the most on that. And my friend Marcus and a few others that helped. But yeah, they came to me with the idea for the soccer tournament, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It's kind of unique, you know, not many people run for office and do a soccer tournament.
Back home in Africa, Liberia, sometimes it happens most often.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
it's a little bit different.
Oh, yeah. Well, soccer's the big game in Liberia. In North Dakota, you know, it's a lot of hockey and football. Yeah. American football, I should say. Yeah.
What's the major sport? What sport do you like?
I actually do like soccer. I don't watch all the games, but when I played. I didn't play a lot of sports growing up, but
Okay.
whatever I did play, I don't know. I was not good at basketball. I could not dribble with my hands, but I was actually more coordinated with my feet.
Okay.
So that's kind of why I always thought soccer was more fun because, you know, I wasn't doing a terrible job at it. But so, yeah, and I mean, I think that was a great event to do, and it was very unique, and it really, because the community is so well connected, and of course it wasn't just Liberians, it was we had different
Everybody,
teams from a lot of different African groups that were in the area, and everybody came together and played. There was food, there was music, and I got to go around and shake a lot of hands and meet people and listen to their concerns.
Oh yeah,
so,
trust me, we love shaking hands.
oh yeah. So for me it was great. I get to meet a lot of people and hear a lot of things that from experiences that maybe I wouldn't have heard otherwise. So then that helps me be better informed on what people care about.
Do you plan on running for the second term?
I don't know yet. We'll see. I mean, depends on what's going on in my life at that time. I might, you know, I'm not just being coy. I might.
I mean, you might, or if you do a pretty good job, the people might say, okay, I think you deserve to go back. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. And if I do a bad job, then I won't go back. That's
Oh,
that's the beauty of our
That's
process.
the thing about that's
Yeah.
democracy. That's the
But-
thing about it.
No, I think you know, I certainly, if I do something, I go full 100%. So
Yeah.
obviously, if I do it again, I'm gonna go all in.
What was that thing that you picked up from your predecessor? Was that something that you look at while sitting, you say, okay, I'm about to run, so I think I can work on this, I can do this? Was that something you learned from your predecessor, whether positive or negative, that helped you to build in your campaign process?
Yeah, well, and North Dakota's kind of unique because we have 47 districts,
Okay.
and so there's one senator for every district, and
Yeah.
there's two representatives,
Senators, okay.
but they're in the same boundaries.
Yeah.
So in this case, you know, there were 3 people running for the 2 representatives,
Okay.
and obviously only 2 of us could win. So we had a Republican who was an incumbent, a Democrat who was an incumbent, and then me as a Republican candidate. And the 2 Republicans ultimately won, and the Democrat was not successful.
Yeah.
And I didn't make my campaign message about her or about
No, I know.
you know, I wanted to make it about what I believe in and my positive message, and we stayed very focused despite some of the negative stuff that got out during the
Obviously,
campaign.
you have to
I stayed
expect that.
positive the whole
Yeah.
time. And so, but I did hear things that, you know, I think people in the community felt that she was not as present or is not as engaged.
A person wasn't felt.
And
was up
you know, I probably heard that a little bit about both the incumbents, honestly. And so I've tried to stay as engaged as I can, and I'm going to continue to do that during the rest of the term as best I can.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, because I often see you associate with the community. I mean, most people, and that's a good thing. Where we from, when the people have at least a little bit of access to their representative, they feel secure, they feel okay when the representative can listen to what they have to say. You don't have to solve their problem, but if
Sure.
you can listen, I mean, they feel okay, they feel that they can reach out to you. I think that's something that people like a whole lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've tried to be straightforward about what I believe in, and I told people during the campaign, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
If it's an issue that somebody brings to me and I can fix it or work on it, I'll do my best.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if it's something that I can do, I'll work harder than anybody. But I'm also not going to make promises about all kinds of things that I can't deliver.
Yep.
Because that's another thing, politicians who, I think that's the difference between a statesman and a politician, you know, and the politicians make all kinds of promises that they can't keep.
You can't keep.
And they're just saying anything they can to get elected, you know, and I would try to just be, you know, true to what I believed in. And some people maybe in the, we'll call it the political establishment here in North Dakota, maybe didn't like some of the things I said. And it's funny because I got attacked during the campaign saying, well, Jared's pretending to be something he's not. And I'm like, anybody who knows me knows I'm talking about the same things I've talked about for 15 years. So but you just got to ignore the
that's
haters
pretty normal.
and
Definitely.
just,
You got to go on.
people are smart too, because you can kind of try to fool voters by putting a lot of advertising in front of them, but sometimes when you go too far, people look at that and they start to see, oh, I got these 10 mailers attacking this guy, like say attacking me, telling me how terrible of a person he is, and they start to look at him like, okay, this doesn't seem right. If this guy was this bad, he'd be in jail. So I think the attacks sort of backfired a little bit.
We're going to have our numbers on the screen. You can also call. We're about to post the numbers on the screen. You can now place your calls in, ask the representative the question you want to ask him. So let me ask you this question. When you first decided to run, how well did your family embrace that idea?
I've always had a lot of support, both from my fiance, of course, and from my parents, my sister. I talked to all of them before I decided to do it, and this is the same thing I've told clients, people I've worked with, other people who've run for office. That's always the first thing I tell them. Like, the first thing you got to figure out is your family on board? Because if your family's not on board, don't do it.
Definitely.
Don't think you can go at it alone, because it's a team effort, and you need that love and that support and that encouragement and that accountability. Because the people that know you best are the ones that are going to make sure you stay true to who you are. And so you have to have that support network.
Tell us about your team, your campaign team. Tell us how supportive were they? I mean, what were the strategies? How did they motivate you? Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, we had a pretty big team. On the ground, I had the folks that I mentioned a little bit help. My friend Marcus, Victoria. They're in the New American Community, and then I also had a number of people that helped me. I had a guy actually in Michigan who did a lot of my mail, because you find a good price somewhere and you got a relationship. I had a friend in Texas who did my social media, and she was kind of trained under the same people that did Trump's social media, so she really knew what she was doing. I had I mentioned my friend Light, he did my video stuff, and then my friend Alexa helped do the editing. I mean, I'm probably forgetting a bunch of names, but there was
pretty much a big team.
Oh yeah, there was a good 10 to 15 people that helped in a lot of ways. My friend Colette, she was a volunteer. She helped me with my fundraising letters, envelopes. I mean, we hand addressed probably 800 letters.
Wow.
And sent them all out, and it was a lot of work. It was 6 months of a lot of work.
That's good. Okay. All right, well, the phone lines are activated. If you want to call, you can place your calls in. We are still having a good time with Jared Henry, and that's the state representative of District Number 10, North Dakota. The phone lines are activated. We want to take a short break. When we come back, we continue with our discussion.
Monthly bills have skyrocketed. Housing, groceries, insurance, everything is up. Inflation is stretching us to the breaking point. It's easy to ask, who's looking out for us? It's easy to watch the news and convince ourselves there's more that divides us than unites us. But we all need strong families, safe communities, good schools, and the opportunity to work hard and reach the American dream. It's campaign season. Candidates tell us they're going to be different, but we need someone to tell us how we can be different. As an engaged citizen, I've activated thousands.
All right, welcome back to the show. As soon as we came back, we got a caller on the line. All right, let's see. Hello?
Hello?
Yep, your name and where you calling us from?
Hey, my name is Jackson Pong. I'm calling from Fargo, North Dakota.
Jackson Pong, good to have you on the show again. Welcome on the show, Jackson. How you doing?
Thank you. I know, I believe that you guys, I'm not hearing you guys too good, but
okay.
I have a question for Mr. Hendrick.
Yeah, go ahead. He's listening.
Yeah.
So, I've been monitoring the show this morning. He talks about the tournament. I just want to ask a question on the tournament aspect.
The tournament.
Okay.
Is because he made a promise. And his promise was he want to organize a big tournament for community.
Okay.
So is he going to fulfill that promise? And how long are we going to wait for him to fulfill that promise? And is there a specific time frame that we should wait for?
All right, Jackson.
His promise.
Thank you so much for your question. The representative got it. Okay,
And
go ahead.
secondly,
Yeah,
a
go
second
ahead.
question.
All right, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, go
We
ahead.
can hear you.
Now I know he's a representative of District 10. So, what's going to be his contribution to those that have a dream? Like, example, somebody who having a child care, want to open a child care, like a daycare, or someone who, like you guys in the studio, want to get
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a place to start, like a building, or somebody want to work for trade. What's going to be his contribution to that person in his community or that district?
All right, thank you, Jackson.
All right,
yeah,
thanks,
the
Jackson.
representative is going to address that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, I'll start with the second question first.
Yeah.
So my approach most of the time is I want the best policies that affect everybody the same way. So
Okay.
we want a regulatory environment that lowers the barriers of entry for everybody,
Yep.
so that it's easier and cheaper to start a business, to make it work for you. And I think if we necessarily come to our representatives in the government expecting something to be given to us, that means they control it.
Yeah.
And that's not really, to me, what the American dream is about. Now, that being said, there are some things we can do. We had some legislation on childcare this session. And actually, we have a really good study bill that's looking at trying to reform childcare, and we'll get information back from that next session.
Okay.
But one of the things that I supported, for example, and it's just a minor thing, it's just an example, but when the people who work at a childcare, they have to get a certain number of hours, training hours that don't necessarily roll over in the same way.
Okay.
Because you might have several people employed by one childcare, but the training hours are based on the individual and not the business entity. And so we wanted to simplify that a little bit. So, you got to do little things like that that will make it cheaper and easier for people to operate a business. It shouldn't be that hard to operate childcare. You should be able to do it, in your home at a pretty low price, and you shouldn't be overly burdened. The only things that really should have to happen is making sure you're protecting, the safety of the child, of course, and you don't want, violent criminals opening daycares and things like that. So so we are also working on trying to make sure that we have a good business environment and a good tax environment. Okay, I guess we got another call come in. I could probably say more about that, but just the soccer tournament. Yes, I do want to do another soccer tournament. We did it last year. It was a big success, and I've said I would do it again this summer. And so, Jackson, if you're still listening, whenever you want to start planning it, we can do that.
All right, Jackson, I hope you heard the representative. What? Okay, we still got a call. Let me see. Hope it's one of our callers on the show. Oh. Well, you can please call back. Please place your calls to the representative. He's listening. And Jackson, if you're still watching, I hope your question was answered. And he said, all right, let's take this caller. Hello?
Hello?
Yep. You live on the show. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, hello? Well, I don't know what's going on. All right, well, hope you call back on the show. And we have a comment from let me try to put this on. Hello?
Oh, this is because I call from District 46, North Dakota.
Your name? Say that again.
Marcus.
This is Marcus Down, calling from District
Oh.
46.
All right, Marcus, welcome to the show. Go ahead, make your comment. What do you have to say?
Good afternoon, Honorable Hendricks. How are you today?
Doing good. Good to hear from you, Marcus.
Let me first of all say thank you for all of the hard work you're doing. We fought up and keep doing good. And we see you getting back again. My first question has to do with the medical transparent bill that was being presented. I want the public to know how did that go when you presented that to committee? And secondly, when it comes to rental rights, that has been one of the struggles across the state. I'd like for you to tell us how did it go. I think those were one of the first two bills that were being sent before the House. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Marcus.
Yeah. Okay. So on the healthcare, I put in a bill on healthcare price transparency.
Okay.
And I know some of your listeners in Liberia. I don't know much about healthcare in Liberia, but in America, you know, we do have a lot of great care, a lot of great doctors, a lot of great nurses, but it's very expensive and it's very complicated. You go to the hospital and sometimes you don't really know what things cost. You get an explanation of benefits in the mail from your insurance company, and people get blindsided by these huge bills.
Yep.
And it's a real problem. So I put in a bill that simply says that the hospitals need to follow the federal regulations on disclosing their prices on their website, and they're already supposed to do it. And so my bill basically said that they need to do it, or there's an extra layer of penalties on this, on the North Dakota side, not just the federal side.
All right.
And I got a lot of pushback on that from the lobbyists for the hospitals. You know, and these are people that are paid to work for the interests of the hospitals. And I don't care if the hospitals are mad. I'm there to be on behalf of the people and the patients who are facing these bills. Like, I'll give you one example. There's a hospital in Minot, and if you go there and you have somebody's, your wife or whatever is pregnant, they have a C-section, it's about $5,000. At one of the hospitals in Fargo, have a C-section, it's $31,000. So you see the difference.
Huge,
And there's a lot of problems with that. And we aren't talking about like emergencies, like you show up and you just have like a broken arm or whatever. We're talking about a lot of things that are planned. And so patients would have time to kind of shop around and see what the price options are. So anyway, we almost got it passed, but it didn't quite get there. It passed the House like 89-1.
Keep pushing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna give up
But
on
that's
it.
important. It's very important.
Oh yeah. You know, it's just like anything else you go buy, you know what it costs. But for some reason, healthcare is different, and I think it's wrong. I think you should have the price information like you do in any other thing that you want to go pay for. And then the rental, he asked about rental rates. So I mentioned that a little bit. I had one bill that, and I'm bringing this one back too. And this one basically says that you have a move-in inspection and a move-out inspection. So like when you move in to an apartment, you sit down with the landlord and you have an agreement to walk through the facility and you find all the issues and you put it on something that you both sign and you both agree, okay, here's the things that need to be fixed. Okay? You do the same thing on the move-out. Because the problem is what happens now is the landlord will go through and kind of do their own inspection, and then they just send the tenant a bill.
Exactly what I said.
Yeah, and so people get blindsided by fees for damages that they didn't cause. Now, at the same time, I know that there are some people that damage things. So there, I hear the other side from landlords.
You have to listen from both sides.
And so if somebody does do some damage, and of course they should pay for it. But the problem is a lot of these landlords, and I think most landlords are great, okay? Most of them are great, but there are a few who I think charge the tenant for the regular maintenance work they should be doing. You know, like you mentioned, if you have carpet, you got to replace that every several years.
Of course.
That's just from normal time. That doesn't mean somebody damaged it. You just got to replace it. Now it's different if I punch a hole in the wall, you know, then I should have to pay for that, you know. So, but again, you had the lobbyists from the apartments, the apartment association. So all the big apartment owners, they have a lobbyist that they pay that goes to the Capitol and lobbies for their interest. And one of the things that I said on the floor of the House is I said, look, the apartments have a paid lobbyist, but the renters, all they have is us, the representatives, and that's who I'm there to represent.
People.
So we made good progress with it, and I think a lot of people there don't understand the issue. So I just need to do more educating, but we'll bring it back. I think we'll get it passed next time.
All right, Marcus, I hope your question has been answered. So if you're still watching, you can still put your call through. We have a comment from one of our followers here, that's Amin Ferguson, and she said, congrats to you, Gerald, our state representative. You ran in the most multicultural district in the state, and we were behind him and got him to the finish line. So Victor, man of the people, for the people, by the people. That's somebody who is pretty much impressed. Yeah, with your work that you're doing. No,
but I can't do it without all the great people that support us.
Jackson is back on the line. All right, let's hear you. Jackson, welcome back to the show.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Before you go ahead, were your two questions answered? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment and tell Mr. Hendrick, thank you for everything that he has done for our community.
In case you want to draw down some.
He opened us to the community. He made us to believe that we can make a difference in North Dakota. Yeah. And I want to say thank you to him again, because whenever you even send that man invitation, he's always around.
Yep.
He's always around people. Since you won the election, all the promises, you have been fulfilling that. I just want to appreciate him for everything. And Mr. Hendrick, you are listening. I want to say thank you. I want to appreciate you, and I will always support you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Jackson, and thanks for being there. Like I've told you, it's a partnership. You know, it's not all me. It's the people in the community. I got to have you guys that I can work together on, and on whatever the issue is. I think he hung up, but yeah, it's a partnership.
Yeah, everybody wants to talk to the representative. All right, let me see who's on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Yep, you live on the show. Go ahead. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Marcus calling from the Serpentine.
Okay, Marcus. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to the owner for answering my question. That was good. I have another question, and it has to do with ever since you got elected, I'd like for you to kind of clarify some of the bills that you were successful in that is or will be beneficial to your district and the state at large. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So a lot of the work that we do is not necessarily the bills that we put in ourselves. That's an important thing. So like I can sponsor a bill, like I mentioned, the rental inspection, price transparency, and that's where most of my work's been. But we also can co-sponsor other people's bills that are good bills. Okay. And then we each sit on two different committees. So I sit on Human Services Committee and Transportation Committee. So Human Services is like healthcare type issues. And then transportation is obviously mostly roads and things like that. So we're able to work on a lot of bills in those committees. So like for example, in transportation, I'll give you one example. We dealt with a bill that we were trying to fix actually from last session. That they put in this bill that basically allowed the insurance companies to go look at certain traffic violations that had very low points. And so what happened is people started getting all their insurance rates going up crazy, and people were losing their insurance coverage. I mean, I had truckers call me, and they got to feed their families based upon trucking, and some of them couldn't get jobs anymore because they lost their insurance coverage. And so, you know, we're working on fixing that. That's just one example. In human services, we deal with a lot of healthcare issues. Like, I'll give you another example, a bill that I carried on the floor, and it was from actually a Fargo senator who was the main sponsor, and then I helped carry it on the floor, and it dealt with guardianship. So, like, if you have somebody in a hospital who they're unable to find they're unable to find somebody who is responsible for that person who might be in an incapacitated state. You know, like they're unable to respond or make decisions for themselves. And unfortunately, there's a large number of people that fall in that category. Like, it's an increasing number. And so we basically just added another level to that, like an interdisciplinary team where the hospital, I mean, first they try to find the family, of course, but if they can't locate somebody, then they do have the authority to make decisions for that person. And you got to balance that with whatever the wishes are of the patient. You know, they might have, in fact, I recommend everybody listening to get like an advanced care directive, so that, you know, like if God forbid something happens to you and you're unconscious, that
you need
there's
somebody.
certain things, exactly, certain things, procedures you may not want them to do or whatever. Property tax reform is a big issue, you know.
But excuse me, has any of those bills been passed, been accepted?
So
I think that was one of his questions.
Sure. Oh yeah. Okay, so there's I've got, let's see, there's only one has been passed through both chambers. And then I still have 3 more that are sitting in the Senate that might pass, and I think all 3 of them probably will. One of them passed, dealt with amateur radio license plates, which sounds kind of like a weird issue, but when you've had in the past like natural disasters and things, cell phone communication isn't always that great. But you can use these, like what they call amateur radio, where people keep them in their vehicle and they can communicate across, you know, like a localized area. Or even further, they can actually communicate with the International Space Station. It's kind of cool. But we want to have identification for them on license plates, because in an emergency, it's good that they can be located. I got another bill that I call my RoboCop bill. If you might have heard of that movie, but
RoboCop.
We've got a lot of new technology in AI and robotics, and that's exciting. But we need to make sure that we're protecting the rights of people in due process. So, for example, I don't think that the police should be able to do surveillance and all these other things with that technology without a warrant. Right? You know, those are fundamental rights we have. So I'm working on that. You know, there's a number of other bills. Like I said, a lot of the work you do is what you're co-sponsoring.
That's good. Well, we're about to go for a break. When we come back, we're going to get Representative parting comments. We don't want to keep him here all day. So if you're still there, you want to place your calls, do that. When we come back, we're going to get his parting comments. We'll be right back.
Monthly bills have skyrocketed. Housing, groceries, insurance, everything is up. Inflation is stretching us to the breaking point. It's easy to ask, who's looking out for us? It's easy to watch the news and convince ourselves there's more that divides us than unites us. But we all need strong families, safe communities, good schools, and the opportunity to work hard and reach the American dream. It's campaign season. Candidates tell us they're going to be different, but we need someone to tell us how we can be different. As an engaged citizen, I've activated thousands with training on the political process, empowering everyday people. My name is Jared Hendricks. My working class background includes oil field, construction, and warehousing. I'm the proud son of a naval veteran turned police officer and loving homemaker. I'm engaged to my beautiful Anna, an ICU nurse and Jamaican immigrant. I led the effort to gather over 88,000 citizen signatures to allow voters to approve term limits for the governor and legislature, and mandatory retirement for members of Congress. But there's more work to be done. That's why I'm running for State House in Fargo. The political establishment tells us all the things we cannot do instead of inspiring us to do everything we can do. We need optimism and, most of all, courage. Not the same politicians telling us what we want to hear, but leaders who will tell us what we need to hear. I'm not just asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to be an engaged citizen. Let's get it done together.
All right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, we are having a wonderful time with our state representative. And if you still have time to squeeze in your calls, your comments, your question, please do. Yeah, we're still talking with our state representative. Now, before we went for the break, you spoke about a couple of bills that you'd like to squeeze in to talk about. Yeah, so you can go ahead. And
one other one I should mention, just because this is how the process works. So, like I said, sometimes it's not. I mean, you want to get your own bill through, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but you can help somebody else's bill.
Person,
And a lot of the work we do is that. So, like, for example, I had a bill, and there were 3 of us that had almost the same bill.
Okay.
And I had a bill on age verification for visiting pornographic material.
Okay.
Which is, a real problem with young people, because it can be addictive. There's a moral issue there.
Many kids have access to social media, to phones, so at an early age.
Yep. Yeah, and there's research that shows that 90% of the time when children are exposed to pornographic content, it's unintentional, it's accidental. And so basically my bill just said that to view that content, you have to prove that you're 18 years of old. You have to prove that you're an adult.
Okay.
And it's a moral issue. It's very important. But anyway, there were 3 different bills. Mine got killed because it was very similar to one of the other bills. But then what happened is one of the other bill co-sponsors I actually worked with to try to improve his bill to use some of the language I had in mind. And that bill passed. So sometimes that's how the process works. You may not get your bill through, but you can work on somebody else's and get it through. And that's all that matters. All that matters is we're protecting kids.
That's good. We got a couple of questions or comments here. Let me see what this person say. I think it's a question trying to ask you.
Okay.
Yeah, let me try to get it up and see what to say. Okay, it's from Victoria Nightingale. She said, Henry, can you please share your thoughts on SB 2128?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's sometimes you get the bill numbers and you got to remember hundreds of. So that one I do remember because we just had a big discussion.
All right.
Okay, I'll try to give the short version because it's a big, complicated thing. But that bill was what they call the Truth in Sentencing bill.
Okay.
And so it deals with how we treat criminals in North Dakota. And the issue with that bill, because it ended up on the floor. It ended up getting divided, which means that there were parts of the bill we supported and then parts that we didn't support. And I did support a lot of the bill. There were parts of it that I didn't like, and then I did end up voting for the final bill once those parts are removed. So basically what it was doing is it was dealing with, we have a problem with recidivism, which is, where people they're committing crimes and maybe they get let out and then they continue to
reoffend.
To
do the same thing.
And so you have a lot of violent criminals in North Dakota that unfortunately I think are not being dealt with properly. And so a lot of what the bill did is it required consecutive sentencing where, if they were doing something really bad, that they would stay, in jail for a longer period of time. Now, at the same time, we have to make sure that those who are not doing the worst things or those who are truly being rehabilitated and they're on good behavior and they've changed their life and they've done all the right things, we want to rehabilitate them and get them back into society. Okay. Because you think about somebody, for example, somebody, let's say, murdered a spouse. Okay, that sounds terrible. It is terrible. Yeah. But it's a crime of passion. That person may not go out and kill a bunch of other people. They killed that one person, right? And they might go to jail for 20 years, and they get right with God. They go through the therapy they need, and they can re-enter society. and that's okay, right? It just depends. But then you have other people that will go in. I mean, I just heard the other day about a gentleman out of Fargo, and this is, I don't want to end on a bad note, but this is a very difficult thing to talk about, but he had raped his 3-month-old infant.
Oh.
And broke the infant's ribs, and it was a horrendous crime. And this guy was out after, I think it was 3 or 4 years. And that's just wrong. That's that person, for the sake of his soul, I hope he can repent and get right with God.
Yeah.
That's between him and God. But as far as we're concerned, he better be locked away forever. That person should not be in society. So that's the difficulty we deal with those
your
things.
mom is watching.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It's difficult, when you deal with those types of things. So we tried to write the bill that would compound the sentencing for for really terrible offenses, like this really terrible crimes. But then we also want to allow a path of rehabilitation for those who fix their life, who get right in the way they need to do. So
sometimes it's difficult to know if the person is being real, because sometimes they want to get out. Yeah. Okay.
And part of the issue with that is that, and this is what came up in the discussion of the bill. We had an almost 2-hour discussion on this one bill on the floor.
Yeah. The same SB 21.
Yeah.
And she's asking, Vidura is asking, did you support the bill? If yes, why? If you did not support it, why? She's still asking.
Okay.
If you support or if you did not support.
So there were 2 divisions on the bill, okay? And I supported the first division, and I didn't support the second division. And the first division, I think, kept intact the intention, which was to have the consecutive sentences for really harsh crimes, and then a lot of the other language I didn't support. It's a long discussion, but it was just, we did not have the information we needed to make that language work. In other words, the recidivism data, we don't have accurate data. Like the Department of Corrections, for example, is saying we have a 40% recidivism, but they're only counting that data within the first 3 years, and they're not counting somebody who goes to like a community center and has other problems there or runs away. So we need to get the data first before we can
Let me
get
see
that
if this
policy.
person is on. Hello?
Hello.
Yep. Welcome to the show. Your name, where you call us from?
My name is Anna.
It's my fiance.
I am calling from District 10. I'm actually Jared's fiance.
Oh, welcome,
I guess
welcome,
my
Anna.
question-
Yeah.
I guess my
She'll ask
question
the
for
tough
him
question.
is, I know session is coming to an end. Are you gonna do any forums with your constituents, whether District 10 or just Fargonians in general, telling us about this session, maybe takeaways and things to bring back next legislative session? And then as my second question to that is, what are your plans during the off years now when you won't have session?
Yeah.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah, so yes, next Saturday I want to do a open town hall forum, and I'll put the location out on my
Hope you invite
social media.
KMTV.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll do that next Saturday, and then as far as in the what they call the interim period, between this session, because we don't meet again for 2 years.
Ooh.
So it's a 4-year term, and you have 2 sessions within that. So during that time, I plan on, number one, stay engaged in the community and listen.
Yeah.
Because it's not all about me; it's about the ideas and thoughts that people bring to me. So stay engaged and listen. I want to continue to do things in the community. Mentioned the soccer tournament, for example.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get a lot more work done on my bills earlier on. Because when we had this is my first session, and I got elected in November. You get sworn in December, and then you're getting your bills in January. I mean, it is a lot really quick.
Yeah.
But when you have this next session 2 years from now, you have a lot more time to work on your bills. So I can get the language crafted, I can get more support lined up. And so when we start the session 2 years from now, I think it'll be a much more organized, better process.
Okay, that's good. And your mom is watching. She's your proud mom. Love you, Henry. That's cool, mom.
Yeah,
Well, we don't have much time on the show, and we just want to see if we can get your parting comments, your final words out there to your supporters, people of District 10, your family, your friends. What can you say to people?
Sure. Yeah, well, thanks. It's been great. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
And, you know, thanks to anybody in my district community who's watching. If you did support me, and even thanks if you didn't support me. I'm hoping that, you know, that I'm at least illustrating that I'm always willing to listen, be sincere. You know, we get a lot of emails from people that are constituents, and I try to. We get a lot of emails, but I try to respond to all of them if I can.
I know.
And people sometimes disagree with my vote strongly, and I just respectfully try to explain, well, this is why I voted. And then other times that same person might email you and you might agree with them. And so you always treat people with respect, because you might disagree with them one day and agree with them the next day. And I guess the most important thing I would say, no matter where you are, but especially if you're in North Dakota, we are very spoiled in this state by how easy it is to have access to our representatives. And I tell people in the district or anywhere, even if you're just in the Fargo area or wherever, if you want to come to the state capitol, you can come there and you can sit with us on the floor in the chamber. You can come to the committees. You can observe the process. It's open to everybody. It's the people's house. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to all of us, right? So that's the most important thing is nothing moves in politics unless you push it. So if you want change and you want things to matter, you've got to be engaged. You've got to show up.
That's good. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah. All right.
Well, we've been having a wonderful time with our state representative. And we cannot keep him all day. He's a busy man, so we want to say thanks to all of you for watching the show. Those of you that called, those of you that sent in your comments, your questions. And we want to say, thanks, Mom, for watching. Henry's here. He's doing good. And thanks, Anna, for calling and asking some tough questions. He said she's going to ask a tough question. All right, to our fans, our followers, we want to say thank you for following us on KMTV. We broadcast both our YouTube and our Facebook channel. We're going to be back here next Saturday for another edition of the show. Thanks to the team for making this broadcast possible. If you want to be part of the show, just call us on our numbers, book a spot, and we will reach out to you. Until I see you next Saturday, my name is Paul Allen Weir. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.
Monthly bills have skyrocketed. Housing, groceries, insurance, everything is up. Inflation is stretching us to the breaking point. It's easy to ask, who's looking out for us? It's easy to watch the news and convince ourselves there's more that divides us than unites us. But we all need strong families, safe communities, good schools, and the opportunity to work hard and reach the American dream. It's campaign season. Candidates tell us they're going to be different, but we need someone to tell us how we can be different. As an engaged citizen, I've activated thousands with training on the political process, empowering everyday people. My name is Jared Hendricks. My working class background includes oil field, construction, and warehousing. I'm the proud son of a naval veteran turned police officer and loving homemaker. I'm engaged to my beautiful Anna, an ICU nurse and Jamaican immigrant. I led the effort to gather over 88,000 citizen signatures to allow voters to approve term limits for the governor and legislature, and mandatory retirement for members of Congress. But there's more work to be done. That's why I'm running for State House in Fargo. The political establishment tells us all the things we cannot do, instead of inspiring us to do everything we can do. We need optimism and, most of all, courage. Not the same politicians telling us what we want to hear, but leaders who will tell us what we need to hear. I'm not just asking for your vote. I'm asking for you to be an engaged citizen. Let's get it done together.